Why do we create things? Very interesting sort of question to ponder. Why do we create things? And not just anything, we create a lot of things. But specifically, I'm more talking about photos and why we create photos or videos or creative artistic content. It's a very interesting concept, I think, and it's one that I've been thinking about a lot, especially over the past little while. This video was meant to be originally a POV video, and I don't think it's actually going to become that. Yes, in the background I'm still going to shoot my POV footage that I took because this video needs something to have this voiceover running over it. And I had spent the last 5 minutes actually recording an audio piece just as a short intro piece for this video. But as I was doing that, I came across a different idea. The creative process is an absolute struggle sometimes, and probably the most toxic and volatile situation of that is the idea. That initial idea you conceive inside your brain that you think this is going to actually turn out fantastic, I've got it all figured out inside my head, this is going to look cool, people are going to love this, and this is going to actually be pretty damn awesome. Then you come to the execution phase, and you run into problems, issues, setbacks, and you realise that the idea that you conceived, in reality it's not going to turn out how it was in your mind. Because about 9 times out of 10, your brain will create the best scenario, and you understand it completely and utterly, but whenever you put that into execution, you have the real world to contend with, and sometimes that's very difficult and very hard. Recently, about 3 weeks ago, I created a POV photography shoot. It was just a simple, straightforward shoot, and I went down to the beach, went on a walk, took some photos, recorded it with my GoPro, and thought, happy days, this is going to be a nice wee intro, because this is something that I wanted to do for a while, create videos, POV, talk about photography, and sort of expand the network around my photography. Not claiming to be the best photographer in the world, that will never be attainable, but in some people's eyes, I am. And that's kind of awesome, because even though I may not be renowned throughout the world, there are people there who think what I produce, what I create, what I come up with is actually brilliant. And maybe that's the motivation of why we create things. We create things for other people. We create things because we get this concept idea in our brains and we think, yes, this would be awesome to share with other people. And then that becomes the driving force for the idea. You start to do it, you start to create this thing. And sometimes whenever you produce it for those people, it falls flat because you don't feel that you've done enough. But then you get that one piece of feedback by some completely random person, somebody close to you, and it makes that creative process worthwhile. That POV video that I created will never see the light of day because I got so unmotivated during the creation process of it that I deleted it. And I deleted it because I didn't feel happy in it. And looking back, there was a stage where, I lost all motivation. I had completely edited the video, got it ready, probably exported the first test video, was doing 1 or 2 minor tweaks to it, color graded the footage, everything was looking good. It started to get there, it was coming together, and then I deleted it. I deleted all the clips, I deleted all the photos sort of attached to it. I destroyed what I created because I lost the motivation in my creation. And then about a week and a half later, I decided, you know what, some things had changed, some things had went on in life, and I was like, you know what, I'm actually going to go back and create that video. I'm going to power through, I'm going to beat this unmotivated feeling that I have and finish the video, get it out there, produce it. And even though it might not have been the best video in the world, it still allowed me to create it. The unfortunate thing is whenever I went to look at the video and try to pick up where I left off, I'd forgotten that I'd deleted everything associated with it. So I actually couldn't do that, and I felt a wee bit of disappointment. And then about an hour later, I couldn't be bothered again. Creative process burns you out sometimes, and sometimes whenever you execute your ideas, they don't come to fruition. Prime example, it's recently I did a sort of trilogy photo shoot, a space-themed one. The spaceman, the abduction, and the alien. This was a photo that I wanted to create for a long time. This scene of a girl being abducted, sucked up into space by this tractor beam from some unknown UFO up in the sky. And I couldn't quite figure out how to execute it. I knew what I wanted it to look like in my mind, but I couldn't quite execute the idea. Fast forward several years and I now have the opportunity to do it, and I actually went out, got the idea, figured out how I could actually create this photo that was living inside my head for ages. But I couldn't just do a single photo, I had to do a theme, I had to do a story, I had to do something associated with it so that that video was the centerpiece in my Instagram grid, and that on the other two sides of that there had to be the intro story, the hook that got you, oh, it's quite interesting. And although that photograph, for me, the idea is there, I got some of the concept right, and yes, certainly again I will try further down into the future, try a different idea with that and try and recreate it. And although that photo didn't turn out especially the way that I wanted it to, I'm still sort of pleased that I went through the creative process to get that result. Because by doing that, I learned something, and that's the main process. And through that creative process, I actually created something I liked beforehand, the spaceman photo. That photo came together. That was just a short concept idea, something else to lead into the next photo, the abduction. And whenever I created this, I was like, yeah, you know what? That's actually kind of a cool idea. Maybe I'd seen it somewhere before, maybe I'd seen elements of it somewhere before, but whenever I created that photo, I was pleased in it. And I think that's probably my best photo out of those three sort of categories. And then the final photo, the alien sort of looking over the abducted person, it was like the final sort of part to that story. And I thought, you know what? That's actually pretty cool. I actually really kind of like that, but I rushed the idea at the end because I didn't give it enough time, things came up, and it was a whole sort of, I need to create this idea because my photos are posting. And sometimes I think we put a lot of pressure on each other, and no more so than putting pressure on yourself to create the best. And sometimes that's good. That's good because you need that pressure to push you forward, to break the barriers that helps your creative process, to create something that is quite unique and awesome to yourself, that gives you a learning experience as you go through that process. But other times you critique yourself just a wee bit too much. And an idea that could have been the start of something that's a learning curve, that's a practice, you just let your mind get the better of you. And although this time this POV photography didn't go according to plan, I've created something completely different out of it this time. I'm not going to let that deter me because I'm going to try again. I know what elements went wrong this time. Brought the dog out with me, went for a walk, and the dog created problems because the dog was the dog and it wanted to run about, jump on things and not behave itself on the lead, and you're like, just behave. So there we go, we learnt something today. If I want to create a POV photography, don't bring the dog, unless the dog's going to be part of the shoot. But there you go, there's a learning curve, there's a video, and if I didn't go out and create that today, or try to attempt to create this POV photography that has been playing in the background as I do this over monologue thing, then I wouldn't have had this opportunity to discuss this idea that has been now shared with yourselves. Although this video has a bit of a somber tone to it, we'll not end on a negative note, we'll end on something positive. I created something today and I got to share it with you guys, and I really, really appreciate that. If this is like, this video has like sort of sparked ideas inside your head, then awesome, that's fantastic. If it's combated maybe a sort of nerve that you've been hanging on to, or an issue that you've been hanging on to, then we've tackled something today, and that's pretty awesome in and of itself. I do want to start creating more video and photo content to just link in with my photographs, to give them another layer, do more POV shoots out and about the place, you know, see my creative process in action. Because shooting photos is something that's really important to me and get great enjoyment out of. So yeah guys, if you've enjoyed the video, please do smash that like button because it lets me know that this is something that you might be interested in. Also go ahead and hit that subscribe button because the more people that are there behind me, it sort of, you know, it's that motivation to go and create more frequently at least. And there was a fantastic idea that I've seen on some of the people that I follow, like Optical Wander. They've created a hashtag where you can use their hashtag to share your photos and content. And you know what? I think that's actually such a clever idea, and it allows people to share content and share a common goal and purpose and share their creative process with other people. So you know what? I'm going to jump on that bandwagon and I'm going to say use the hashtag MrQPHOTOS. And if you use that hashtag and tag whatever posts you're using on Instagram, then I'll get looking into that hashtag, do a wee bit of screen recording, give my feedback to your photos, and hopefully start building that community process. And then together we can grow as a community of creatives that create something, support each other, and give better ideas and processes out there, which is actually kind of cool in and of itself. So again, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.